Good morning, everyone. As it was previously mentioned, my name is Karina, and I'm a technical support engineer at iSpring, and I will be presenting for you today. Today, I'm going to show you in practice how easily you can set up the iSpring Learn LMS for your company. And if you've just signed up for the iSpring Learn LMS but don't know where to start, stay and learn with me. Okay, I think we are ready to start now. You might agree with me that when we purchase something new, such as a mobile phone, the first thing we tend to do is customize it to fit our personal preferences. And we change our screensaver, set our favorite ringtone, and connect the necessary functions. The same thing happens when purchasing a learning management system. When you visit your iSpring Learn portal for the first time, you may notice that it has standard settings. You can use it as is, but it may not feel quite right because the colors are different from the official website of the company or not all the necessary functions are connected. If employees are assigned to courses as is, it will be more difficult for them to get used to the new platform because it will be very different from what they are used to seeing. And therefore, in order for the iSpring Learn portal to look organically together with other corporate services, you need to configure it. Today, we will go through the steps of setting up the iSpring Learn portal. And as a result, we will get a fully customized portal adapted for your company. I will show it by the example of our division, the iSpring Academy, and share some life hacks with you. So the first thing we will do is set the basic settings, such as the link to the account. Next, we will configure the account design to give your learning portal a corporate style. Then we will set up integration with services for online trainings. We will learn how to make it so that users entering the corporate portal can get into iSpring Learn without entering data again, using a single sign-on technology. And finally, we will learn how the API integration with the corporate portal works, which allows you to automatically upload users from your system to iSpring Learn. Let's start with basic settings and design. So that your learners can easily get to your learning portal, you will need to change the following settings. Set any name and URL for your iSpring Learn portal. The account name is used for identifying the iSpring Learn account, and the account URL is the link that your employees use to get to your learning portal. Then set up account login, privacy policy settings, and time zone. Let's move on to the practical part now. I will share my screen in just a moment. All right, now I think that you can see my screen. So I will go to the admin portal of my iSpring Learn account. And to start changing basic settings, you will need to click on settings on the left. First of all, it is necessary to change the link to your learning portal. It is important to do this as the first step because the portal will no longer be accessible via the link that exists now. If you change the link after you start training, you may confuse your employees. So now I will change the link to my iSpring portal. Let's set it to iSpring portal. So now that we've changed the URL, we'll click on Save. And we will be logged out of our iSpring Learn account. This is absolutely normal. And the password and login details for the account will be the same. They will not change. So now I will log back into my account. All right, so now our URL of the account has changed. So we go back to settings, and now we'll change the account name. It is important to set the correct name because employees will see it in email notifications about courses and online training. The best option here is to enter your company name. The link and the name are now ready. And now let's move on to security settings. To protect your account from spammers and bots, choose a login and password method with CAPTCHA verification. So you and your users will go through the I'm not a robot verification system every time they log in. When choosing the login and password login method, this check will not appear. For the maximum level of security, you can choose the option by entering your login, password, and code from the email. This will take a lot of time, so we'll just leave it with the CAPTCHA level. Also, so that employees do not set numbers from 1 to 5 as a password, we will set a custom password. In the drop-down list, select a custom password and check the boxes to use numbers, uppercase letters, and special characters. And also, let's set the minimum password length to 8 characters. And now employees will be able to only use secure passwords. So the next step concerns legal issues. The personal data of employees will be stored in the iSpring Learn account. In order to make sure that we fully respect the rights of users added to the account, we will add a privacy policy. The text for the privacy policy field will be stored in the iSpring Learn account, and you can request this text from your company's lawyers. So now I will add my own text. Give me just a second. I'll copy and paste it in this text field here. The last setting that we will change is the time zone. I will change it to GMT+1 London. Give me just a second. GMT+1 London. Perfect. The time zone will be the default for all users in your iSpring Learn account unless they choose a different time zone in their profile settings and see training dates and course deadlines in their local time. It's very helpful if your employees are working in different time zones. At the very end of this page, you can see one more option that is not related to customization. It says delete users when importing from Excel. It is needed if you want to quickly delete outdated user accounts from your account. We won't look at it in detail today, but I recommend leaving it off. This is very important because if you use it carelessly, you can accidentally delete all users. To save the settings, we'll scroll up and then click on the Save button. All right, let's move on then. We will move on to the most creative part, which is the design of the portal. So the design settings allow you to change the way your iSpring Learn account looks. You can change the color scheme, logo, favicon, covers for user portals, and background of the login page. And under the Additional Options tab in the User Portal section, you can configure the welcome screen that will appear when your learners log into their account for the first time. All right, so let me go to Settings and then Additional Options, branding. So we'll go to the branding, and here the first thing we can change is the color scheme of our platform. You can choose one of the pre-made color schemes by clicking on these icons right here, or you can also slightly change its coloring by clicking on the pencil icon. And then you need to select the color and drag your cursor to the correct tone. You can also insert a hex code here to create your own customization portal so that it looks just like your company branding. You can request this hex code from your designers. They will definitely have this information, or they will even have a whole brand book that contains all the elements that make up your brand. However, if it's not possible to find the hex code, I have a workaround for you. To get the hex code, we need a screenshot of your logo or part of the site that has the desired color and the Paint 3D program. This is a standard Windows program that can be downloaded for free from the Microsoft Store. In addition to Paint 3D, you can use Photoshop or any online resource. I'm going to do this in Paint 3D. So first of all, we'll click on our Home tab and then we'll search for 3D Paint. We'll run the program, choose our logo from our computer. Here's the logo. And then I will enlarge the logo by clicking on the plus icon so we can see it much better. Once it's done, we'll go to brushes and select the eyedropper tool to select the necessary color. Once it's selected, we'll click on the color and then click on the color here. And here is the hex code that consists of 6 letters and numbers. So we copy it and go back to our portal. And now let's insert this hex color right here. And we'll also change accent color and top panel text. So you can do the same by copying the hex color code from Paint 3D, but I have pre-made hex codes. So let me just copy them and insert them right here. All right, here is what we have now. And then let's move on to the logo. To do this, we'll need to mouse over the default logo and click on it, and then select the logo on your computer. So we select this logo, and now it's added. And below, we can also insert a favicon the same way. We just hover over and click on it and select our favicon. The favicon is the picture that is displayed right here in your browser tab. So now we will move on to course, cover images for courses, catalog, and user profile. The same thing, we just hover over this and select the necessary pictures from our computer. All right. And now we'll also change the login page background. And now let's log in under a different user to see what it will look like in the user portal. So I'll just copy my URL, open incognito mode in the browser, and log in as a different user. Just a second. Now we'll need to verify that we are not robots. Let's select some cars. All right, and now we can sign into our profile. And since we've added privacy policy, the user will need to accept this privacy policy. And here you can see how the user portal has changed. So we can see that all the colors, we can see our logo and the cover image for the user profile. All right, now I'll go back to the admin portal. Let me note here that the customized design of your account will be visible only in the browser. The iSpring Learn mobile app will have standard design settings. However, you can create a branded mobile application for your company for an additional fee. In this case, a separate mobile application with the name you have chosen will be created. It will be available for download on Google Play and App Store, and it will be designed in the colors of your company. Also, when the user opens your app for the first time, they will receive clear instructions on how to work with it. If you're interested in a custom mobile app for your learners, let us know in the chat or contact us at emea.sales@ispring.com. All right, so now let's move on and set up the welcome screen. So I'll go to settings, additional options, and the user portal. So let's add the title and the text. You can also add a video here. By default, it shows a short video tutorial for your learners on how iSpring Learn works. You can replace this video with any other one, and you can also preview it here. Users will see this welcome screen when they log into their account for the first time. This welcome message is perfect for instructions on how to work in iSpring Learn or for a short video about your company and their mission. So let me just quickly paste some text here, some welcome message. So first we'll paste the title and then the text. And then we'll insert the link to a new video. And now to save the settings, we'll click on the Save button. And let's see how it will work if we log in as a different user. So I'll just copy my account URL one more time. Go to the incognito mode and sign in under a different user. All right, it might take some time. Perfect. So now let's sign in under a different user. We'll have to verify that we're not robots one more time. And let's sign in. Accept the privacy policy. And here we will see the welcome screen that we've just changed. It might take a few seconds. All right, here is our welcome screen that we've just added in our admin portal. So before we move on, do you have any questions? I will be happy to answer them.
Okay, at the moment, Karina, we don't have any questions in the chat. I think we can move on, and I will interrupt you if we have any of them in the chat, okay?
Yeah, sure, perfect. So let's move on then. In order to keep users up to date with courses and online trainings, you can set up notifications in iSpring Learn. Users receive them in different ways. For example, you can set reminders about course due dates. On the screen, you can see default notifications that learners usually receive. I'm going to show you how we can change the design of this email. To change its design, we need to edit its code. If you want to change the entire email, you will need the help of developers. However, you can make some changes to the background color, size, and color of the text yourself. Now I'll show you what exactly we can change in the code, and I'm going to share the keywords with you in the chat so that you can save them for the future. So now let me share my screen. We'll need to go to settings and then additional options and then notifications. By default, the email notification template section is disabled. If you do not have it displayed, send us an email at support@ispring.com and we will turn it on for free. So first, I'm going to change the background color of the notification. To do this, I'll open the notification template and find the main block section. Give me just a moment. I'll share this keyword with you in the chat. All right, I see that Kate has already done that. So let me just quickly find it. So we just press Ctrl plus F to quickly find it and then paste this word. And here we can change our colors of the notifications. And so here we will need to insert the hex code of our new color. So we can just go back to our Paint 3D program, slightly change the color so it doesn't blend in with our color. Okay, and here is the hex code. And now we can insert it here. Next, we will change the font in the main text of the notification. We will find this in the content styles section. So let me just paste content styles right here. And here we can change our font and font sizes. So we'll just select the font and change it to a different font. After the font is selected, we'll change the font size. Select the font size attribute and specify 20 pixels. It is better to use standard fonts that are installed on most devices so that your notifications look correctly on the user's end. Mail services support a limited number of fonts. This is why if you want to connect your custom font, I recommend that you contact your IT department, and we also provide help documents on how to set it up. The link will be shared in the chat. In general, be careful when editing the code. If you delete the wrong sign, the code will not work. This is why you should make changes carefully. And you can also bring back the standard template by clicking on the Restore to Default button. So now let's preview to check how it looks. Here we can see that our colors have changed. Here it says just content, but it's just a template. Once the notification is sent to users, there will be a text. So now on the slide, you can see an example of the customized email template. The logo has automatically been changed to the one we uploaded in the design section. The background font and font size are changed. How do you like it? I'll be happy to see your comments in the chat. If any questions come up, feel free to ask. So now we are moving on to integrations. To enable integration with a third-party system, you will most likely need the help of your IT department. So let's take a look at integrations that can help you hold online meetings. iSpring Learn allows you to enable integration with one of the two services, Zoom or Microsoft Teams. What is most great here is that when you enable integration with one of these platforms in iSpring Learn, you will be able to track how many users joined the session, how long they stayed, and etc. So let's try integrating Zoom with iSpring Learn. To integrate it, you will need a purchased Zoom account. We provide a help document on what subscription plans you need to set up the integration with Zoom. The link will be shared in the chat. So let's go to where it says services in the left corner below, and then go to online meetings and click turn on for Zoom. Let's click sign in with Zoom. And in order to enable this integration, we'll just need to sign into our purchased iSpring Learn account. So let me just quickly sign into my account. And that's it. Our integration with Zoom was enabled. You can see how easy it is. Yeah, you can also connect iSpring Learn with Microsoft Teams, but let me know that you can't enable integration with both platforms for online meetings at the same time. So it depends on which platform you use in your company. If you use Microsoft Teams to connect it with iSpring Learn, you will need the help of your IT department because Microsoft Azure Active Directory administrators will need to add permissions to access iSpring Learn on their end. You will need to click on turn on next to for Microsoft, we'll need to turn off Zoom first. Okay, now we'll click on turn on and copy this link and send it to the administrator who has access to Microsoft Azure Active Directory. And then they need to log into their Microsoft account and accept permissions requested from the iSpring Learn app. And that's it. After that, you go back and enable integration one more time and enter your login and password. Microsoft Teams will be connected with iSpring Learn. We have a step-by-step guide with images on how to set it up. If you're interested in it, send us an emoji in the chat and we'll share a link with you. If you're holding online meetings on iSpring Learn, it will be convenient for your learners to synchronize all the meetings with their calendar. In iSpring Learn, all learners have a calendar where they can see all their meetings, and at the same time, employees usually work in Outlook. Tracking meetings on different calendars can be overwhelming. Connecting Outlook with iSpring Learn can be a great help here. Thanks to this, meetings in iSpring Learn will be automatically added to the Outlook calendars of your employees. Employees will be able to plan their day taking into account the activities from iSpring Learn and effectively organize their working hours. To connect it, you will need a Microsoft Office 365 license with the Exchange Online feature. I also recommend that you can contact your IT department to check that you have the right subscription and make sure that the mailboxes of Microsoft Azure Directory admins and other users are in the cloud service. If mailboxes are stored on a local server, your IT department will need to move them to the cloud. I'm afraid that I'm unable to show you in action how to connect it because I need the help of our IT department to show how to set it up step by step. In our help documents, you can also read more about the requirements. I'm sure this will help you. If in case something goes wrong, you can contact us at support@ispring.com and we'll be happy to help you. Besides the Outlook calendar, the iSpring Learn, in iSpring Learn, you can connect other calendars such as Google, Apple, or any other calendar that supports the iCalendar feed. The easiest way to connect other calendars is by going to the trainings section tab and clicking on Sync Calendar. For example, let's quickly connect it to my Google Calendar. I need to select Google Calendar and then copy this link and then go to my Google Calendar. Let me quickly open up my Google Calendar. Just a second. All right, here it is. So in our Google Calendar, we'll need to click on the plus icon next to other calendars and then click from URL and then just simply paste the link here and click on add calendar. And that's it. And you can see how easy it is. So now, before we move on to single sign-on, I also want to mention a couple of integrations that were released a few days ago. The first is an integration of iSpring Learn with Salesforce that will allow you to sync employee data within seconds. This integration will empower you to synchronize individual departments and groups with a click or schedule the synchronization to run automatically. We prepared a great article that will walk you through the steps on how to set it up. And this article also explains in more detail how this integration can help you. The link will be shared with you in the chat. And the other new service that you can connect with iSpring Learn is called Albato. With Albato, iSpring Learn account administrators will be able to instantly integrate with hundreds of apps. These integrations allow for data to be automatically shared between iSpring Learn and these apps. This will automatically add users, departments, and groups to iSpring Learn, as well as block users or replace groups when necessary. If you want to learn more about this integration, just let us know in the chat and we'll share a link with you. So now let's move on to integrations. Usually, companies use several corporate services where employees need to log in using their login and password. As a result, employees have many different login details for each service. In addition, the IT department has to provide these login details to employees every day. For example, in our company, according to the statistics of the iSpring IT department, password reset requests used to be the most frequent. To solve these issues, you can use single sign-on. Thanks to this, your employees will need to sign in only once, and all the corporate applications will be available automatically. In iSpring Learn, single sign-on is used in two cases. The first case is when your employees log into iSpring Learn by going to your corporate portal. The second case is when you need to add users to iSpring Learn automatically from your corporate database. In order to set up single sign-on, you will need to contact your company's IT specialist. They will need to set it up following the steps in our help documents. I'm afraid that I'm unable to show the single sign-on setup process because the setup requires working with internal data, but I will show you how it will work when everything is set up. I'm going to show you how it will work when a new user logs into the corporate portal. So let me just quickly share my screen. So here in the video, you can see that we delete a user from our iSpring Learn portal. And then we log out of our account. And in order to sign into the account using single sign-on, you will need to click on Login with Corporate Account page, and then type in or your credentials of your system, and then click Sign In. Um, and now we can see that this user logged into their user portal. This is the email that we've deleted recently. And now if we go back to the admin portal and go to the users tab, we'll see that this user was automatically added to the iSpring Learn account again. So this is how single sign-on works. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat and we'll discuss them during the Q&A session. Now, let's move on and talk about APIs. To automate and speed up work with the iSpring Learn LMS, it is possible to use the API. Our clients usually use the API for adding new employees and updating their user profiles, automation of the learning process, for example, assigning courses, tracking employee progress, and also for checking assignments by third-party programs. We have help documents for all API requests. These links will be shared with you within the presentation. All right, it seems that I've covered everything, so let's sum up what we've learned today. And as a result, we have a checklist that will help you set up your iSpring Learn LMS. We've learned how to set up basic account settings: account name, account URL, custom password, privacy policy, and time zone. We've learned how to set up design settings: color scheme, company logo, a favicon, login page background, different cover images, and email notification templates. We've learned integrations with Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Outlook, Google Calendar, single sign-on, and API integration. So thank you so much for your time and attention. And now let's move on to the Q&A session.
Thank you so much, Karina, for your presentation. And now it's time for Q&A. And if you have any questions, now it's the right time to send them in the chat. And we already have one question. I hope I pronounce your name correctly. Tomir is asking, can you use APIs also with own LMS, for example, OpenADX?
So if your system has open API, you can definitely integrate it with iSpring Learn. Since iSpring Learn has open API, so you can just integrate the two platforms together using API. In our help docs, we have information and step-by-step instructions on how to do so, or you can also email us at support@ispring.com and we'll be happy to share instructions on how to do so with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. I think we are ready to wrap up then because I don't see any other questions in the chat. What do you think, Karina?
Yes, I agree with you. Thank you so much for joining, everyone.
Have a good day. Goodbye.
Goodbye.